Do you know that ethanol is being pumped into your car while we are having this conversation?
Most likely.
What does that mean, that ethanol is being pumped into your car?
From what I understand, it may not be safe. It may be pollution. I don't know. You're going to educate me on it?
Do you have an opinion on ethanol?
Not at this point.
And have you ever heard of any other biofuels?
Plastic and things of that nature?
Perfect.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
That ethanol is being pumped into your car while we are having this conversation.
Yes.
What does that mean?
I don't know. It's a type of gas.
Do you have any opinion on ethanol?
I know it's probably bad for the environment.
Bad? Okay. And then have you heard about any other biofuels? Okay. Thank you.
Yeah.
In the past 15 years, there has been a push to explore alternative fuels, corn-based ethanol being the most common. Ethanol burns cleaner than gasoline and can be produced by corn farms in the United States, which reduces our dependence on foreign oil and could potentially supply Americans with more jobs. Many environmental groups such as the ACE, the American Coalition for Ethanol, the RFA, Renewable Fuels Association, and the CAAC Clean Air Act Advisory Committee support the expansion of ethanol production in the United States, and recent legislation has allowed districts to install ethanol pumps at gas stations.
However, many Americans oppose using ethanol for fuel because it raised the price of our food and is unfair to the consumer. Ethanol has less energy than gasoline, which means that drivers will get fewer miles per gallon and have to fill up more frequently, in addition to switching to a flex fuel compatible vehicle. Americans have yet to agree on whether ethanol is truly better for the environment. The RFA's research states that burning ethanol instead of gasoline produces 34% less carbon dioxide emissions. In 2013, the 13.3 billion gallons of ethanol produced reduced greenhouse gas emissions from on-road vehicles by 38 million metric tons. That's equivalent to removing 8 million cars from the road. The journal Science disproved this when they published a study with a dire conclusion. Plowing over conservation land releases so much greenhouse gas that it takes 48 years before new plants can break even and start reducing carbon dioxide.
In this video, we will take a look at some of the ethical debates of using ethanol as a fuel source and why Americans continue to disagree on this topic.
With ethanol added into gasoline, the price of filling your car is not reduced. The presence of ethanol in gasoline means our vehicles are getting less mileage per tank because it contributes less energy than gasoline. In fact, with the price of corn on the rise, it could eventually raise the per-gallon price of gasoline significantly. With the price of gas already holding a large economic burden on the Americans' wallets, the ethicality of increasing the burden should not be ignored in the ethanol policy debate. Agriculture certainly doesn't have the big role in the American economy that it used to. The return value has become less and less worthwhile to farmers to the point that they are subsidized by the government for growing particular crops. With the increase in demand for ethanol and the resulting increase in demand for and price of corn, it becomes less economically advantageous for farmers to grow other crops. They are indirectly forced into devoting some or all of their land to growing corn just to stay at a profit. In the discussion for promoting ethanol production, the ethics of the effect it has on our farmers should certainly be considered.
Unlike gasoline, ethanol reduces greenhouse gas emissions, which means the planet will not heat up, saving the world from rising ocean, droughts, and food shortages. This creates the greatest good for the greatest number because everyone benefits from the use of biofuel. We as a species have done so much damage to the earth that it is our duty to preserve what is left. Biofuels use renewable materials so they do not deplete resources, and they have much lower carbon emissions than gasoline, which helps slow climate change, thereby saving the environment. A recent report on the U.S. trade deficit found that rising oil imports widened our deficit, increasing the gap between our imports and exports. This is but one example that our economic recovery and long-term growth is without a doubt linked to our reliance on foreign oil. The United States is spending approximately $1 billion a day overseas on oil instead of investing the funds at home where our economy sorely needs it. Burning oil that exacerbates global warming also poses serious threats to our national security and the world's security. In 2008, the United States imported oil from 10 countries currently on the State Department's travel warning list, which lists countries that have long-term protracted conditions that make a country dangerous or unstable. The United States imported 4 million barrels of oil a day, or 1.5 billion barrels total, from dangerous or unstable countries in 2008 at a cost of about $150 billion. This estimate excludes Venezuela, which is not on the State Department's dangerous or unstable list, but has maintained a distinctly anti-American foreign and energy policy. Venezuela is one of the top 5 oil exporters to the United States, and we imported 435 million barrels of oil from them in 2008. As a major contributor to the global demand for oil, the United States is paying to finance and sustain unfriendly regimes. Our demand drives up oil prices on the global market, which oftentimes benefits oil-producing nations that don't sell to us. With that being said, we believe it is unethical to keep buying oil from foreign countries when we can make it here in the United States. Ethanol production creates many jobs that wouldn't otherwise exist. In 2013, the production of 13.3 billion gallons of ethanol supported 86,504 direct jobs in the renewable fuel production and agriculture in the United States, as well as 300,277 indirect and induced jobs across all sectors of the economy. The ethanol industry generates jobs, raises revenues, and helps revive rural America. By opposing the use of ethanol, we are preventing jobs being created and thereby keeping people out of work.